David E. Talbert is with us. What's going on, bro?
What's good with you, man? What's good with you, man?
Man, you know, always honored to hang out with greatness for a moment.
Come on, man. You look in the mirror, there's greatness. You look around that beautiful family, there's greatness all around you, man.
Man, I appreciate it. Shout out to my sister Cherie. She is in the house guest hosting today. Looking amazing if you're watching us online.
What's up, guys? Thanks so much, Willie Moore Jr. You really helped my confidence this afternoon. I appreciate it.
Man, listen, it is totally an honor. So, Dave, you wrote and produced Jingle Jangle. Where did the story come from?
It came from growing up, really, and watching films like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and Mary Poppins, and that's kind of like my childhood. And so I wanted to put something out there that reminded me of that. You know, I never want to grow up. It's a trap. So I wanted something like that. And then when I became a father, I said it was time I wanted my son to grow up and see these magical, wonderful movies like I did, but I wanted him to have in it people that look like him.
Yeah.
And so that was the spirit behind putting this together.
Yeah, so I mean, we've seen Netflix be very intentional about incorporating Black content, especially this year in particular. How did you connect with Netflix?
Well, I just had a general meeting with them, and I told them I wanted to do a big event movie, and I wanted to kind of do something on a big epic scale, a spectacle. And they said, what do you have in mind? And I said, you know, this story I've been working on for 22 years. I started writing it in 1997, Jingle Jangle. Wow. I was going to do it for Broadway. And my wife said, why don't you do it as a movie? So when I met with the head of Netflix, I said, I want to do a big event one. I said, because my family and families like me, we sit around every Christmas and every Thanksgiving, and we've got the food, we cutting up, we got the spades, we're doing all that stuff. And then we sit down and watch something on TV as a family. And I said, I can't sit down and watch anything around the holidays like that to have anybody that looks like anybody in my family.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I said, we needed, you know, I said, that's a problem. And Scott Stuber said, we need to do something about that. And so he said, can you come in and pitch it next week? I did, and they bought it in the room.
Wow.
They bought it in the room.
In the room.
The words that every producer, writer, and director
My God, today.
They bought it in the room.
In the room.
No getting back with you, no email, text message, phone call.
This just sounds like good to me. Let's go.
Listen, I love it. David E. Talbert is the voice that you're hearing right now. So, Dave, listen, you've been in the game a minute. You've been doing films since 2008. This movie had the biggest budget you ever had.
Yeah.
Is the budget something you asked for, or is it just something that they just said in the room, you know what, let's do it?
The creative exec on it, Nick Nesbitt, told me something that changed my life. And right when I was about to start, you know, whenever I do the movie, they say, you know, you got $2 to make this movie. And I look, if it goes over to $2.25, that 25 cents on you, brother. Studio would say. And so, but this time, they said, before you start to write this script, I don't want you to write the budget, write your imagination, and we'll figure out the budget later.
Wow.
And it took me a minute.
I just had to pause right there.
Yeah, it took me, I looked around the room, I'm like, are they setting me up? You know what I'm saying? But I said, don't write the budget, write your imagination, and we'll figure out the budget later. And I sat back and looked at the computer, and I'm like, well, wait a second. I'm like, I stared at it for like 3 days. I'm like, well, what is my imagination? Wait a second. And the beauty of it is most times we have been put in such a box, and we've been talked into believing that we can only soar so high that we buy into it. And when someone tells you that is not the case, it takes you a minute to remind yourself who you really are. My great grandmother told me this story about down south, that they would do this thing where they would put a grasshopper that could jump, soar 6 feet high. They would take this grasshopper and they would put him in a jelly jar and put holes in him. Overnight, the 6-inch jelly jar. Then overnight they would take him out, they put the grasshopper out. The grasshopper now can only jump 6 inches. This grasshopper that naturally was born to jump 6 feet in the air now has been retrained to jump 6 inches.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of what happens to us is we let people tell us that there's a ceiling here, and they poke enough holes in our jelly jar so that we can breathe, so we can still stay alive, but only so we can now think that this is our ceiling. But it is not so. And this film and this brother, Nick Nesbitt, reminded me, wait a second, Dave Talbert. Second. God done given you some things in your mind that you haven't even tapped into. Eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, neither has it entered into the hearts of man the good things, these big, broad, beautiful things that are in store for us that we can create. And so that's what this journey of this movie has been, such a overwhelming experience for me, and eye-opening, and it reminded me who I was created to be.
Man,
wow.
You did something to my shana now, Doc, right there to the right side, and I don't even go like that.
So, David, interesting. We left off talking about the big budget that you had for this film, and just as important, or if not more, was the big talent you had for this film, and an all-star cast, so to speak. And so we think about living legends like Forrest Whitaker, Phylicia Rashad, Anika Noni Rose. Even, how do you manage talent that large in a film like this, allowing them to still kind of stretch their muscles, but also you get out what you need as a director?
You got to get your Phil Jackson on. You know what I'm saying? You got Jordan, you got Pippen, you got Kukoc, you got this dream team. You got all these all-stars, and you just let them do. That's why you put them on the court, not to tell them how to do their thing. You assemble this amazing group of people, and then you sit back and you throw them the game plan, and you let them do what they were created to do. Forrest Whitaker is the top of the food chain. I mean, he's on the Mount Rushmore of actors.
Yeah.
Oscar winner, every kind of award winner. Phylicia Rashad is a goddess. She's a queen. Tony Award winner. Top of the food chain in theater and television icon. And Keegan-Michael Key, one of Emmy Award winner. One of the funniest guys out there. And then you got Anika Noni Rose, another Tony Award winner, and an icon of Princess and the Frog, first Black woman to play a princess in Disney. And then I found all this wonderful talent like Madeline Mills, who is just a revelation. And you put them all together, and then this is what you have. So I'm blessed to be able to be surrounded by. I'm a fan. I came to work every day like, I'm Forrest Whitaker. Wait a second.
Hey, what's up, Forrest?
Yeah, I was taking selfies with him. I was supposed to be directing the movie. I'm taking selfies with him, and I got selfies with Forrest the whole time. I'm like, are you kidding me? So
yeah. So you mentioned Madeline Mills, a child. What is it like working with a child on this type of film, working with kids on this type of movie?
Well, all the great movies that are family movies always have the stars. And I look at her like I felt the same way about her like I felt about Judy Garland when I saw The Wizard of Oz. Because I'm like, wait a second. Or when I saw Stephanie Mills on Broadway as Dorothy in The Wiz. You're talking about somebody that is going to be around for a very long time. And she just has it. She can sing, she can dance, she can act, but she's an old soul. And we just hung out and got along. She's like an old soul, and she become like a daughter to me, so sweetheart of a young lady.
Yeah, that's good. Hanging out with David E. Talbert. That's a voice you're hearing if you listen on the radio. If you are watching on social media, what up though? My sister is hanging out as well.
So David, before we hit the record button, I congratulated you on your another holiday film, another Christmas movie. And you said this ain't just your average Christmas movie.
No.
So with that said, what do you want people to get out of this film?
Well, they'll get out of it. When you watch it, I won't have to tell you what I want you to get out of it. I felt the same way when I took my son to see Black Panther. And I thought that I was going to go see this wonderful movie by this wonderful director, this kid movie. I wanted him to see, a Black superhero. When I sat in that movie theater, I was blown away. I did not expect it to move me the way it did. I didn't expect to be caught up in the spectacle and glamour and glory of all of this. And so, that when I left at that theater, I dropped him off and I went back to my office, and there was a script that I was working on, and I hit delete on it. I threw it in the trash can. Because I said, what I just saw raised the bar of excellence so high that that's what I have to shoot for. And so that inspired me to really kind of put the screws into Jingle Jangle and throw Ryan Coogler threw everything and the kitchen sink into Black Panther. Instantly, it was a classic. So I said that was my bar. So when people see this, they'll see what's possible. They'll see that this ceiling that was put on us in our budgets and how magical and wonderful and how expansive our worlds could be are no more. That ceiling's gone. We shattered that ceiling. And so people will see what is possible, not only in their lives, but possible artistically. And that's the best thing I could get for the family. And it's proud. People will be proud of how we look, proud of how we're presented, and be singing and dancing all around the living room. Auntie's gonna be singing all the wrong lyrics of the song.
So listen, to people out there right now who are watching, I want you to do this. I want you to go to Netflix. I want you to check out Jingle Jangle. So I know that we have made it to be just an African-American film through this interview, but I've had the opportunity to kind of check a microcosm out of what it is. But there's so many different colors and beauty and different people inserted in this film. This film is so strategic. I'm just thankful that African-American people are in the forefront and in the lead. But I just want to let you know, we ain't left nobody out. This man got so many different ethnicities in this movie, and it's a beautiful film. The colors are popping. I know we got to wrap up. Meg gonna probably push me off here, but just real quick, Dave, tell them a little bit about the people who came and did the sets and the colors and how intentional you were with that.
Well, it's a tapestry as the world is. And that's what I wanted to, a movie that represented what the world looks like. And the world is a beautiful quilt with all many cultures and patterns and colors. And that's what I wanted this film to look like, vibrant. We're in a Victorian era, so we're in the late 1800s. So we have Black people as inventors. And the images that we often see of the 1800s is a whip against our backs. It's always nobody knows the struggle I've seen. That's our images. But I wanted to reintroduce, like Hope, allow me to reintroduce ourselves. We were brilliant, we were inventive, we were innovative, we were magical, we were wonderful. Even during that era, what was going on in this country, around the world, and even in parts of this country, we were all that. So in a Victorian era, we said we're in Victorian clothes, but we said, these are Africans. So we had our costume designer fly to Ghana and Kenya and Nigeria and pick up authentic patterns, weave them in with Victorian era. And so now we created something called Afro-Victorian. So now all this vibrancy is uniquely us, and the world is for the world, you know, and I couldn't be more pleased with that.
Man, listen, I cannot wait for you to see it. In fact, I'm challenging you to go right now, okay?
Right now.
Yeah, Netflix, go right now. Dave, it is always an honor to hang out with you, brother. Man, you continue to stretch us, inspire us, and encourage us. Man, I love you to life, man. Real talk. Thank you for being great, and thank you for being a great example of greatness, brother.
Man, love you back, man. You've inspired me to put that donut down. I'm about to do about 100 sit-ups. And, I'm going to eat the donut afterwards, but I'm going to put it down first.
There you go. Yeah, just put it in. I had an apple fritter yesterday. I feel bad about it, but look, it is what it is. I'm just trying to live for my daughter and my children, man. I gotta make sure I can
Come on, man. Yeah. They may have to call the paramedics for me, but I'm gonna give it a shot.